Hello, fans, and welcome to the Belfield Show. I'd like to thank you for joining me. My name is Larry Belfield, and this is the Belfield Show. Hello, my name is Larry Belfield, and I would like to thank you for joining me on the Belfield Show. As always, I would like to start with prayer. Lord, I'd like to thank you for keeping us, for blessing us, for strengthening us, for guiding us, for giving us the energy, the comprehension, the clairvoyance, and the connection to dive through your word. Lord, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Today is a special episode. I really want to show you guys how to start a business and how easy it is. And so what I've done here is I've basically started a little business using a few tools, and I want to actually show you guys how to use these and show you how easy it is to start a business. So what you see firing up here is this is a projected screen of my laptop here. We're watching my TV. And what we're going to do is show you how to render photos and how to make a laser engraved plaque. Okay, so I got a laser engraver from my sister in Christmas, and I realized, hey man, this is easy. I can start a little, enterprise with this. So I decided to start a business. Now, first, what you must do is get a photo of whoever you want to take a picture of. That's this one, and this photo is already black and white. But what I do is I use Google Gemini to manipulate the photo. In order to engrave it, it has to be just lines. Usually you want to turn the face into a coloring page, a detailed coloring page where it's just an outline of their face. So first what I do is I ask Google Gemini to turn the picture black and white. Then I would tell them to turn it into a detailed pencil drawing that's black and white. And then after that, I would tell them to turn it, make it candlelit, or make it a charcoal drawing to darken up the lines and darken up the edges. Okay, so here's my photo. This is a black. This has been black and white, but now this is a pencil drawing. Okay, and once we get past this, we'll go to the next stage where I turned it into a charcoal image, like it was drawn with charcoal. As you can see here, I'm putting in the prompt, and I'm asking the Gemini to turn this into a light pencil sketch. And as you can see there, this is just lines, and this is going to be the foundation for our laser engraved image onto wood. Okay. So what we do here is we ask them to change it over into a heavy charcoal style drawing where the background and the image is popped out with black. Okay, this image is much darker, much more detailed. Okay. Now, there we go. This is the final rendering. This is not the final picture that I used, but this is very close to it because the lines are so dark. Now you see how this line is very, very, very white, very opaque, and what you want is a very dark image that has a lot of contrast, a lot of blacks and a lot of whites, and a lot of clear lines. Okay, so these are the images that I chose. Okay, in the end, I'll choose a lighter version. I'm going to lighten these ones up rather than try to make those other ones darker. I lighten this image up. This image has too much detail in it. You don't want it to have so much detail. You want it to be like an outline. So after you got your image, you want to take away everything except the face. Okay? So what I do is I take a eraser, okay, and then what I'll do is I'll get in there, and then I'll just go ahead and streamline and erase everything that isn't the face. Now, what I'm going to do here is render the image as the final image here. But this isn't the final image because my laser printer is basically a foot wide, and it can only give out an image about 6 to 8 inches. So in order to make this nice and big, I'll have to separate the faces. But this is a good start to show you that even though you have multiple faces in one screen, that you can render the faces first, separate them later. Okay. So as you can see me here getting into detail. Now what you want to do, save it. Okay, and as you can see, I have several images. You don't want to do this with just one image, okay? You want to make sure that you get a few copies, and then you try out a couple of different scans, okay? So I've got that one, and I've got this lighter one here. You see how light that is? I do the same thing here, render this one out. Get rid of everything that isn't the actual image that you want. Okay, nice and simple, nice and easy. It takes me about an hour to basically render one face. Okay, so this does take quite a bit of time. It's not easy, it's not quick and fast. I don't just pump these out. I can pump 200 of these out an hour. No, it takes actual time to do each and every single one. I cut out so much trying to get this process down to the minimum time, and it's still an hour long. The whole process that we're about to see is a whole hour. It's like 50 minutes. So don't think that it's simple. It's easy. I just take a picture of you, push a button, and then it renders. That's not how it works. You have to do a little playing around with it. You have to do a little artistic drawing, and you have to make sure that it comes out the right way. But once you have your images and you're satisfied with that, go ahead and open your laser printer. Now this is the laser GBRL from Temu. Okay, it's a very simple, not low quality, but it's a very simple and easy laser printer to use. I don't want to call it like cheap or small, but it's very tiny, but it's very accurate, and it comes out with great images, and it actually does a really great job. So the laser industry is actually it's so profound, it's so good and solid that even this little engraver actually gives me big results. So I don't want to call it little or small. Okay, so what we're going to do is click here. There's I don't want to show you exactly how to do it. I'm just trying to graze through it. Okay, but here's here's one of the biggest issues. Okay, is you did all that work to get that image there, and then all of a sudden it looks like that. So that is a black and white engraved image. Okay, what happens is you can push the button to make it go black and white. Now when you do that, it's going to make sure that the image is just going to show just the lines, or just what is black and not what is white, because it will try to draw the white. Now this right here is the white clip. Okay, this bar allows you to see what's going to be engraved and what's not. The more pink, the less it'll be engraved on your image. So anything pink shows through as white or clear. It won't be printed. Okay, so you want the pink to actually show through the image. I don't know why I didn't show you any more of that. I should have showed you more. It'll pop up here. So this is the image at the end. Now you can see how there's two colors, blue and white. However, this isn't as clear as it could be. Okay, but this is the final image that I'm going to use. Okay, but it still needs to be further rendered and further cleaned up. All right, so this is the image as it's done. Right now it's too much white. As you can see, you can't see the hair clearly, the teeth clearly, the eyes clearly. That means it's not going to come out clear. Okay, so what I had to do is I had to go back to the drawing board, re-render this. I used the darker image and lightened it up, and then it turned out pretty good. So you have to make sure that it's clear all the way. Now you're going to see the difference between that. You see in the blue there's a lot of white and a lot of gradient. Okay, but what we ended up using is this right here. Okay, that is a true engravable image. That'll come out nice and clear. You're going to see the difference between the white, the black lines, and the spots that aren't going to be actually engraved. Okay, so after you're rendering, after you got it down simply, this is the final image. So what we do next is now what we have to do is line up our board. Okay, so here's our little laser engraver right here. I don't like to call it little, it's a big laser engraver. This thing works, magic. And what happens is, since I've separated the faces and there's going to be two people on the board, I need to line this laser engraver up so that one image ends up on one side and the other images ends up on the other side without them interfering. So in order to do that, I have to scoot the laser engraver over quite a bit of the work. So I need there's a little trick that I use to make sure I get that board right. You see these little two pieces? Okay. Pick up the board here. These little two pieces right here are actually for the feet. They're the same thickness as the board. Okay. And as you can see, those two pieces right there, those are going to go on the feet that are sticking off the board, because I have to scoot it over so much. And they're actually going to be quite close to the board. They're going to be right there next to it. They're not going to be far off to the side or nothing like that. So the actual feet is just off to the side of the work. As you can see how their feet come off of there. Okay, now what I'm going to do, place one foot, one piece under one foot, the other piece in the other foot. And if you can see, there's a little black square right over to the left. And after I line this up here, okay, I have a couple of pieces of paper attached to my laser engraver because the light gets quite bright, especially at night when I'm trying to sleep. But it'll light up the whole room. It's like a strobe light. So what I do here is, after I line up the feet, I'm going to have to take my laser engraver, okay, and right here, this screw right here allows me to lift or lower the laser head. And what happens is, the laser head needs to be an exact distance from the work, okay, and that's where there's a little black disc right there. It goes under the laser engraver. You lift it up just a little bit, and then what happens is, after you tighten it, that piece just slides nice and free under the laser engraver. Okay, right there, see how that slides right nice and free? Now your laser engraver is at the right height. Now, as you can see, I've lined it up. Now what you can do is, you can, on the computer, you're able to control the laser engraver. Okay, I can put it on the grid anywhere I want. Now before you start printing, you want to take the actual laser head and make sure that you go around the circumference of the image, so you know that you're not going out of bounds, it's not too far for the laser engraver, and that it can actually complete the image. Okay, so right now it just, oh no, I skipped out the part where I lined up the laser engraver. I'm sorry, but there's a quick way to move the laser engraver around. Quick tip. All right, you see these cups? Okay. So that's a lot more epoxy than I'm going to need. I'm about to bury this stuff deep in epoxy, okay? That you only need like a quarter of this cup. A quarter, this is about a third. Okay, you'll need probably like an eighth, maybe like a half of this to cover the board to be real easy. But I like to put it on thick because it gives it a good shine and it gives a good coating and it makes it last a lot longer. So what we're going to do is mix up this epoxy and then bring you back when I'm pouring. Okay, we're here. All right. This is the epoxy wooden clock demo. Okay. Now what we have here is a board. Okay. This is board I've already burned myself into this image. Okay, into this board. What you're going to need here is a few tools. First, you want to make sure that you have a clean workspace. Okay. See, I've got this paper underneath that catches all the epoxy. Okay, I've got a drill that's going to blend up everything. Okay, I got a razor that helps me cut lots of things. I need a lot of cutting is going to take place. This is a spreader, okay, but this is for after the board is made and before the board is made. This is the type of spreader I use for the board while I'm spreading the epoxy. Okay, just a simple stick. Okay, I got gloves. Okay, tape. You're gonna need lots of tape. Okay, this is my cup for the epoxy, and these are my 2 stir cups for the epoxy. Okay, to mix your epoxy up so you can mix it up and equal. And here's what you're really gonna need. Okay, tweezers. These L-shaped tweezers are lifesavers. I had 3 pairs of tweezers I was using before this. I had to abandon all of them and just had, man, I need these ones that have this L shape. These are really good for getting under here and picking up things like that. You see that picture? Nice and flat. So what we're going to do here is I've got me a wooden box. Okay, we're going to quickly pick up these pictures here. Okay, you don't want to just throw epoxy, okay, on top of everything. That's not what you want to do. Okay, and then you kind of want to put it in layers. You first want to put down a layer of epoxy, okay? Then what you want to do is put down your elements, all your little pieces and stuff that want to go on down on top, so they'll stick down. You want to have some epoxy underneath, and then what happens is once they're stuck down, then you can go ahead and do your final pour and pour everything over on top. You want to make sure that everything has a good glaze on top, everything's nice and coated from the bottom and the top, and that'll lock everything in. Okay, so these pictures are kind of hard to float, but other elements like these butterflies, these stay down. I get all of these boards, these little trinkets from the Dollar Tree. Okay, but I painted them myself. I took a little stamp pad and I mixed like 6 colors on it, and then I just dabbed that on there, and these came out really fast, really nice and neat. Okay, so right now what I'm going to do is mix up some epoxy, put a little thin layer on, and then I'll bring you back when it's time to start placing things. Okay, quick tip. All right, you see these cups? That's a lot more epoxy than I'm going to need. I'm about to bury this stuff deep in epoxy. Okay, that you only need like a quarter of this cup. A quarter, this is about a third. Okay, you'll need probably like an eighth, maybe like a half of this to cover the board to be real easy. But I like to put it on thick because it gives it a good shine and it gives a good coating and it makes it last a lot longer. So what we're going to do is mix up this epoxy and then bring you back when I'm pouring. Neat little trick. Once you mixed up epoxy into this cup, okay, mix both of these together so that they harden up. When they get hard, the epoxy comes right out of there. What I've been doing is I just pour it into there, then mix it, and then I don't worry about that. And what happens is I've got wet epoxy in there for days, and I come in there days later and it's still wet epoxy in there. So make sure you get that a good thorough mix. Okay, right here, this says mix it for 5 minutes. By hand. So I'm going to mix it for 60 seconds with this machine. Off the epoxy. Now what you can do is you want to sit this over the paper you have. Okay, so I have some paper there that it can set over and drip onto. Okay. Now what you want to do, take your spreader, go ahead, let me turn this light on. 1 second. Take your spreader here. And what you want to do is put on a light layer, a nice thin coat across the whole piece. Okay, so that little dribble right there, believe it or not, might be enough. We're going to see. So here's what I'd like to do. Take this spreader, put it on its side like that, and just spread that all around. Doesn't have to be pretty. This first coat is just to get the glue. We're going to treat it like glue and try to get everything to the edge of this work. Okay, this is going to help that epoxy set down and seep into this piece. little gather of this here, and I'm just gonna work this around. Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and place our pieces onto the board here. Okay. I had these like so. I think there is a stitch more. What I want to do is now pour on epoxy on the top. Right. Let's go on with the final pour. The first thing you want to do, get your spatula here, is lay it down on the pictures. Now look at this. You see that? That's really all it takes. You don't need to pour it all on. That's why you need very little epoxy to make this work. Take this, you dip it in, and then you get it over the picture. And that's all that's necessary. It doesn't need to be spectacular, it doesn't need to be great, it doesn't need to be all over the board. You just need to get on there. Put it on there, let this get to the edge. That's what you want to do. What I'm seeing is my edges come out really, really thin. Okay, then I'll forget my face. Alright. Now what I do with this is on the edges, you want it to kind of fill in. You want it to get all the way to that edge. Make sure that these pictures are sitting down and not floating away. And you want to make sure that this is level. That's very important. This isn't all that level, and it really doesn't need to be all perfectly level, but you want to make sure that you're not on a big slant where this can go all kind of directions. Okay? Alright. Okay, that looks like it. Okay, now for the center. This is important. There are lots of, it's very grainy. So up there. Okay, now what you want to do is go here in the center and get as much as you want, as much as you can in here. Now, as you can see, I'm not just pouring it in a big glob. What I'm doing is I'm making strings. These strings will level out. These swirls are going to level out. That's what you want. Is it to swirl? Now what I want to do is create these grooves here. And see how thick that is? That's how you want it. Then you get over it just like that. That is going to be so much thicker in that center there than the rest. Okay. That looks excellent. Okay, it's not too thick. It's not too thin, not too thin of a board. That's how that's done. Okay? So a few minutes worth of work. You can pump out 7, 8, 9 of these at a time. If you decorate them ahead of time, build enough epoxy, and then you can pour it on thicker and it'll go on faster. But really, this is the way to save epoxy. Look at this in here. You see that? Can you even see that? Yeah, there you go. You can see that. A little epoxy left. That's it. I'm going to let this tack up for like 2 minutes. Get it nice and tacky. And then I'm just going to come over it again. Now what you really want to do is this is an advanced step. Is to get the bubbles out. Okay. Got a little torch. Put your torch on. And then you want to come in here and knock these bubbles out. Okay, just like that. All right. Just a little touch up, bubbles gone. It's finished. Okay. Alright, the best of my ability, just with some few products, a little know-how. Okay, these boards came from the Dollar Tree. Alright, the laser engraver came from Temu. Okay, so right there, you have a project finished. What you want to do now, cover it up. Make sure nobody's going to touch that. Several hours. Okay, it takes about four hours to dry. All right, let it sit for 4 hours. Once it dries, we'll come back and see what we've done. Now we're back in here. Boom, boom, boom. And look at this. Boom. How does that look? How does that look? How does it feel? Wow. Okay, now what we're going to do, this is the completed board, you guys. It took a little doing, and you see that it didn't quite come out like I wanted it to, but I'm going to show you how to fix that. I've got soldering irons, and I've got artistic soldering irons and with different tips where it'll allow me to fill in and do a little something with the missing areas. Okay, but essentially this is it. This came out a little too dark. I had to do it twice because most of this didn't come out the first time. So it is really heavy, but it came out okay. It looks all right, and I hope that they like it. You know what I'm saying? You can make greater detail with greater precision. If you take more time to render it, it will look a lot better than that. But really what I'm saying is, with just a small little engraver, your laptop, some little tools, and then you'll be able to make yourself a nice little project, make yourself a nice little business. That's all the business is, providing somebody something wants or something somebody needs. This is memorabilia, which is really this is something that can become an antique. Okay, and that's what I'm really shooting for, is to make something really nice, really clean, and a great product for my friends and family. And that's all a small business is. So I'm going to show you how to decorate it, clean it up, and turn it into an actual clock. All right. Boom. Welcome back. Okay. Here's what I need to show you. I had to re-render that photo. to this, my nephew's image, and then it came out like that. Okay, I had to do them separately so that they come out big enough. So I separated the pictures, I re-rendered to make sure that I had the right dimensions and everything. Okay, so now what I'm doing here is I'm going to touch up some of these areas that didn't get. This is a artistic soldering iron. It has different tips on it, if you can pick that up there. You see that here? And then I can put this leaf tip, which is what I've done here, which I can put that right in the camera's face there. Okay, it looks at the shape of a little leaf. So what I'm going to do here, there's a couple areas by the nose that did not come out. Okay, so first what I'm going to do here is outline I'm probably going to put that line. I'm not actually going to fill all this in. What I'm going to try to do is make it more even across the board here, because some of the pieces that are missing. Okay, we're going to go ahead and try to get some of these curls back in. Okay. And try to just fill out the hair here. She has pretty hair, so we want to try to fill it in these little spots. Right here with her lip here. We can fix that. Okay, and let me show you how easy it is here. Okay. What we're going to do here, this is nice and hot. I've been waiting on it. And then we're just going to go just like that. This board from the Dollar Tree actually does quite well. Okay. And as you can see, with just a little touch up, you can finish things off quite nice. Just a nice little. Alright, let's see if we can get a little bit of this hair to come back. Right. Now you see that just a little touch up, round out the picture, make it look okay. It just seemed a little like it was missing just a little too much. Okay. That's good. That's all I needed. Okay. Now for the next step. This is crucial because if you can't get this right, or if this kind of messes up the thickness of the thickness will be off. Okay. So there's two stages here. One, we're going to cut off this string. Okay. Okay. Now we have this, what I perfectly measured to go around this. Okay. This is going to fit basically right around there real nice and tight. But first, what you want to do is turn this inside out. Okay. This is the band. Okay, you're going to turn this band inside out. Okay, you can flip it like that. This is heavy construction paper. Okay, that's this is heavy laden construction paper. I made it. It's about 1 inch thick, but you only need it about a 1/2 inch thick. This is about an 8 inch thick, and then you see how much this is going to cover. This is going to cover way too much. Shouldn't take, but after you got it on, you can go ahead and just wrap it around. But what I'm going to do is tape the entirety of the inside of this tape so that when I go to release it, it comes off much easier. Okay, now let me pause the tape and I'll do that. It's taking too much time. Okay, we're back. What I've done is place tape on the outside. Now if you get real close, you can see how shiny it has become. It's because I have outlined the inner side and the outside with tape. This is going to help for release. Now what I've done is I stuck a piece of tape here upside down. I flipped this over, stuck a piece of tape here. There's a piece of tape. Magic. Okay, top and bottom. Then what I'm going to do is place my frame. Frame goes, oh, don't let it get to that tape. You want to straighten it out as much as possible. Get it around this edge. And then, once you get it on the edge, lift this flap up. Okay. That got tacky on one side. This looks ugly. Right here. Now, same thing with this side. You want to okay. I am carefully putting this on. Now, I use the board as a template to make this frame, okay? That's why it's so tight, not because I'm getting it down secure right now. Okay, I made this frame so close to the edge of the board that okay, that there is no real room for it to error. And then that's going to make you a nice edge. Okay, nice and tight. Put it down like that. Okay. Now you're ready to pour. Okay. All right. And there you go. You have yourself a nice board. I have to put it upside down because you're upside down the whole time. Boom. See that? You got a nice edge around there. Around the whole board. Excuse me. Boom. And then this is what you're really worried about. Is this edge here. You see this? And you can still see my hand through it. See that there? But it's okay because it's so tight and the tape comes down so far to the edge. You see that? It comes way down here. It's going to stop any drips. It's not going to drip. Okay? And we put such a light coating on there that it doesn't have the time to puddle or pool. Okay? Alright, so next step is to get your decoration, get your paint, and then boom, epoxy. Alright folks, I'm coming here with the finished product. I've been working real hard on this. It looks really crazy, but I had to put some extra onto it, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I can hook you up with that there. I don't know why I'm flipping it over. Let me just do it like this and then flip the image into editing. Alright, you see that there? The Smiths. Hook them up. D and Z. You know what I'm saying? So I did a little freehand on there trying to get their names on there. So now we're going to go ahead and glue it up. Boom. Back at the old chopping block. What do you think? I've been working with some stains. Go ahead and put a little stain on there. It's going to end up so glossy and shiny that that's going to look like spray paint at the end. What I want to do now is mix up some epoxy and get at it. Okay, we made it, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead. This is our previous one from before. It's all nice and glossy. Now this one, it's all mixed up. I wonder if you can see that it's all bubbly. It's not supposed to be bubbly. But I mixed it up too fast. I couldn't feel more better about this. Because the most important thing to me is family. Larry Belfield, and I would like to thank you for joining me on the Belfield Show. Today, we're talking about business with, a couple of mechanical clocks. You might have the ability to, a laser printer, and you might have the ability to make one of these memorable time keeps, these time sakes to remember those that you love the most. Well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a coin is forever. It's meant to symbolize and memorize and memorialize the people that you love and the people that we hold most dear. And what I'm trying to encourage you to do is to see how simple it is to create a product, something that people would like, something that people would just pay for, that's interesting. It doesn't have to be amazing. It doesn't have to be number one. It just has to be from your heart. And you can understand that it may be all too easy to bring in that income that you've been looking for. Just a few simple tools, a few simple skills, and you will have the ability to add a product to this great system, to this great world, to this great nation, to this great world. I believe that it is upon you. The burden and the responsibility is upon us to not just get jobs, but start businesses. Not spending time for money. Don't get paid by the hour, okay? Get paid by the power, what you know, right here. I'm encouraging you to dig deep, to find something that you love, to find something that's easy for you to do, something that people can, wrap their heads around. It's not that difficult to really get down and think about what you can do. I want to show you that this is a combination of like 2 months of work, not just the printing them on the board, but coming up with the photos, coming up with the right people, the right customers, and these are all for free. This is my advertising campaign. This is how I advertise. I give up so much for free to encourage people to try to buy my product, okay? So these are friends and family, my nephews, my nieces, brothers, and friends and family. And, I make them a little something that, they would enjoy, something that they would really like. And hopefully, it'll be a good investment for them. I made these to show you how easy it is to come up with a good idea and start a business. There is a million ways to make a product. There are a million products out there to be made. And I'm just encouraging you to get out there, to try, to focus, and to make something that people will enjoy. I think that, my niece and nephew, they're going to like these. I'm going to get better and better at them. I just started this just to show you how easy it is to make a product and to get your face out there, okay? So get cracking. Find something you love. Get a couple of tools that you can use. And I swear, man, you can make this happen. It will work for you. All you have to do is focus, pray, and give it your best, okay? I thank you for joining me on this presentation of the Belfield Show, where I show you these beautiful plaques, these clocks, handmade epoxy wooden clocks that I personally laser engraved for my friends and family. I'd like to thank you for joining me. Sorry for me speaking so quietly, but I'm in the house and everyone's asleep. It's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just trying to display this for you guys. So I snuck in and got this episode in to show you guys how easy it is to start a product, to start a business. You go ahead and get cracking. You have a blessed day. Thank you so much for joining me on the Belfield Show, and I hope you like my product. I'll have a link in the description on how you can purchase one of these, or get one customized for you and your family. Thank you so much. You have a good day. God bless you.